7 words, a book that wasn't and couldn't be better than the movie. That is so controversial, and normally off the top of my head I think that all books are better than the movie because they have so much more to them. So as enjoyable as the movies are, normally the book is better. However, there is possibly one book. Now I can't say this for certain because I never finished the book, which is what makes me think that the movie is better, because I never actually managed to finish the book, and that is Lord of the Rings. I wasn't enjoying it, but I just I just put it down and kind of started reading something else, and then read something else, and I went back to it and read a few pages, and then I put it down and read something else. However, I have seen the movie a million times, and I love the movie, so you know, I say that, but I say that loosely because how can I judge it when I haven't actually finished the book? But I feel that for me, the Lord of the Rings movie is better than the Lord of the Rings book. Question 2 is the grass is always greener on the other side. A rags to riches story or a riches to rags story. A favorite duology of mine is the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo, which starts with the crows, who are a bunch of, you know, roguish thieves, and I love them so incredibly much. I'm not going to tell you whether or not this is rags to riches. I mean, obviously they start as rags. Perhaps they go to riches, perhaps they go back to rags. I'm not going to say exactly what happens, but this would be my example of a rags to riches, riches to rags, who knows, tale. Question 3, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. A parent-child relationship that you loved. This question actually made me realize that the parents that I have read about in books are never actually that nice. Like, it made me realize that I haven't read that many with actually nice parents. I think most of the books I read, most of the characters are, you know, orphans or abandoned or abused. I just realized this. So I'm gonna go with an oldie but a goodie, and that is Harry Potter. Now obviously Harry Potter is one of the orphaned and abused characters I was talking about, but I love Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, who are the parents of Ron. And now I am melting. I don't know what made me think I should wear a sweater. I am going to change. Question 4, you can't judge a book by its cover. A great book that needs a new cover. Now, I chose this book because of all the hype that it was getting, and it sounded really interesting and sounded like something I would love, but I think if I hadn't heard anything about the book and I saw it in the bookstore, I'm not entirely sure I would have even picked it up to read what it was about, to think, oh, that sounds interesting. And that is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I absolutely love this book. It is definitely one of my favorites, but I feel like I wouldn't have really even, you know, I would have walked past it. It's a red wing, and it's nice, but it wouldn't have made me be like, ooh, what's that about? Question 5 is you can't please everyone. A book that you love or hate that everyone else seems to love or hate. For this, I'm going to go with a book that, not that a book that I hated, but a book that I definitely didn't love as much as I see everybody else seems to like love it. Like everyone else is singing its praises. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love this book, it's amazing. Ah! And then I read it, and maybe because of the hype, I was a little bit like, it's okay. But I didn't love it as much as everyone else seems to love it, and that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This book for me is like not a love, not a hate, but it definitely hasn't stuck with me, and the only thing now really that strikes me is the circus itself. But for me, if I saw that someone was reading it, I wouldn't feel compelled to be like, oh my gosh, you're gonna love this book, whereas that's what I felt like I got when I said I was reading this. So I would say, yeah, it's kind of a book that I didn't love and everybody else did love, but I definitely didn't hate it, and it definitely is a nice read. Question 6 is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. A book you are a better person for having read. Most of the books I read, I feel impact me in some way and add a little something into my heart and soul and build me up. Yeah. So I don't think I can pinpoint a book that's like, oh my gosh, revolutionized my world and, you know, changed me, but I think every book I read in some way, when I love it, does change me in some way. Question 7, Love is Blind. A book with a disabled character. I couldn't think of many. A few characters came to mind, like Kaz Brekker with his cane, Dolph Sanders with his cane, mostly people with canes, or say like a glass eye and such, but it's definitely not the main point or very prominent point of the story. So I'm not sure if they mean a character where, you know, it's part of the story, but for me, I would say this is a mental disability, and that is Winter of the Lunar Chronicles. Oh my gosh, she's an amazing character, and her disability is in her mind, because the Lunas have a power that they can use to manipulate people and to get them to do things that they don't want to do, to get them to see things that they don't actually, that aren't real. And it's very, very powerful, dark power, especially when wielded by the wrong person. So Winter refuses to use that power, but when they refuse to use that power, they lose part of their brain, and their brain just kind of shuts down. So Winter refuses to use that, and then she suffers great mental disabilities, which do play a pretty prominent part in the book and all of the decisions that she makes and the way that she responds to things. Question 8 is Ignorance is Bliss. A book you know is bad, but don't want to admit is bad, or a book that you're afraid of reading in case it's bad. I generally love, or at least like, 90% of the books I read, and if I don't love or like it, I am genuinely fine with, you know, saying that I didn't really like it, so I don't have a book for that. I do have a book that I'm afraid to read in case it's bad. However, it's not so much this book, it is this series, and that is Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. Basically, I've heard wonderfully fantastic things about this book, and I think even the second book is getting some really great reviews. However, I've heard some worrying things about the final in the series. Obviously I haven't been spoiled, so I have no idea really what this is about or what happens. I just heard quite a few people, not loads, but quite a few people have said that they were really disappointed with the ending of this series, and for some of them, they're like, it stops at the second book, don't even waste your time with the third book. But of course, you know, if I start it, I'm gonna want to finish it, and so I'm afraid to start this because I feel like I'm gonna love this, as everyone says, and I'll probably love the second one, but then I'm gonna have the disappointment of the third one. Question 9, there is no time like the present. Your favorite contemporary book. This will not surprise you that I do not read many contemporary books. I keep saying that I want to put more into my reading schedule, and I'm trying to find ones that look interesting to me so that I'm like, yes, okay, I want to read that one as well as, like, you know, Legendary or something. But I have read a few, not including Chick Lit ones. And to be fair, I think I've enjoyed all the ones that I have read, but one that stood out to me just because of its uniqueness in the way that the book itself was interiorly designed was Everything, because it has a lot of like charts and graphs, well, not that page. But it has sketches, it does cute little things like this, cute little diagrams and like her recipes and things. And it's just, yes, it's just a very uniquely designed book, so I would say that this is my favorite contemporary in that it has lots of unique things to look at. And that is all for the Clichés Book Tag. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you like all my other videos, then please consider subscribing. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye!